Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been 3 weeks since we were in Texas for RLCS, and I've been meaning to catch back up with y'all. A couple things came up in the meantime. I kind of got married last week, so had a little bit of stuff going on for the weeks in between, but I'm back now and ready to talk about some of the things that have been going on. Now, if you caught the last video, we did a bit of a highlight mashup of everything that happened, but today I just kind of wanted to talk through a lot of other things that I guess aren't really shown in that. But before we get there, a lot of y'all are here for updates on the car, so we may as well knock those out first. Over the course of the next month, the big things that we're going to be focusing on is permanent mounting solutions for the seat, the steering, and the pedal box. We kind of had some temporary solutions for the seat and steering that we put on the car for Texas, but we can now move forward with actually finalizing those. And then with the pedal box, that'll actually allow us to hook up the brakes and get all that figured out. So that way we'll have steering and brakes figured out before we put the motor in. Speaking of a motor, I know I've told y'all in person, on video several times now that we're eventually going to put a Hayabusa motorcycle engine in the Octane as the final powertrain. That being said, an opportunity came up via a friend of a friend for us to actually get a CBR 600 for dirt cheap. Anytime you do something new for the first time, you're going to run into some issues. So I'd rather get that all figured out with the 600 and then eventually swap in the Busa. It also allows me to have some more content lined up down the road for an upgrade. So it's not 100% confirmed at the moment, but that's where I'm leaning right now, is that we're just going to throw the 600 in and it'll be a lot easier on everything. You know, actually moving under its own power with that, get steering and brakes checked out. And then at that point, we can move forward with the body, knowing that we can swap in the final motor at any time. But in general, you're not going to see a project update for about the next month. So be aware of that. A lot of things going on, just not a lot to share at the moment. All right, so let's talk about this trip. It was a long one, but it was a lot of fun. So we started out the night before we left. I actually picked up a U-Haul auto transport trailer to put the Octane on. It looked like we'd be running into some rain on the trip, so I went ahead and put the heavy-duty truck tarp over top of the Octane, strapped down real good. And the next morning we took off. So the first stop on our trip was actually in Charlotte, North Carolina to pick up our friend Ryan.
Am I on video?
Oh, yes, you are.
Hey.
Huge shout out to Ryan. He was super helpful the entire trip. He actually put together the entire highlights video that we posted last. Of course, he also helped out with things such as driving the truck and helping us get set up and everything. But once we picked him up, we were on our way to Birmingham, Alabama, which was our overnight halfway point. Each of these travel days, we did about 12 hours in the truck. Had to fill up every 4 hours as well. Got a solid 11 mpg for the trip. And along the way, we also happened to hit rain in, I think, every single state that we touched. Even the next day when we went from Birmingham to Fort Worth, where it hadn't rained for over 2 months, we brought the rain with us or something because we hit rain in Texas as well. But overall, we made it out there without any issues, so I'll take that. That was a win. We took a minute to stop by the venue a day early just to scope out our position where we're going to be sitting at. That's where all those announcements and whatnot came from. Skip forward to the next day. It's day one of the main event and time to show this thing off. Now, this being the only day that we actually have the car out there, obviously a big day for us. It starts out a little bit earlier than what most of y'all may have seen. We had to pull into the parking lot about 8 a.m. to actually unload the Octane, and we had a whole bunch of stuff to get done first. I'd already cut a piece of plywood ahead of time to fit as our temporary floor, but it hadn't been actually drilled to mount to the frame or to have the seat mounted to it. So ran around drilling holes in those items and using our hardware that we had bought last minute as well to get everything mounted. We also have the flag, which you can see here. Call it our real life content creator flag, if you will. We went ahead and had that made and then actually mounted it to a PVC pipe, a gray PVC pipe, that we then just sort of bungeed to the chassis. But it looked great. I mean, I'm really happy with actually how it turned out. Once we mounted the flag and the seat, we were all good to go, ready to show this thing off with y'all. Went ahead, wheeled it down the sidewalk and got in position. Now, we did try live streaming the whole thing, but it turns out that for whatever reason, Pixel phones, which is what I have and what I was using, overheat very easily and don't have an option to sort of just turn it off. Don't get me wrong, it was pretty hot there. I mean, each day was 100 degrees, but I was kind of disappointed that it only lasted as long as it did, only a couple of minutes. So I'm sorry for any of y'all that were watching that got cut off. It's definitely something I'm going to look into more for the future as to a more reliable way for us to be able to live stream certain things while we're at events. But for those of y'all that were there, so happy that so many people came up and talked to us. Did a little short interview with one of our subscribers that Dad plays. Looking forward to seeing how that one comes out. But just getting people up there, getting them in the car, taking pictures, having a good time, talking about things. Now, I should clarify one thing that prior to this whole trip, I did have some communication with Psyonix ahead of time. Basically said, hey, this is what we're planning on doing. Do you think we could set up a display or something like that? And the response I sort of got was that, they were very supportive of our project, thought it was really cool and all that, but they weren't going to be officially displaying it or, putting themselves behind the whole thing in its current state. They wanted to see something closer to being fully complete, which is completely understandable as far as being inside the venue and actually showing it off, as if it were an officially supported project. I was perfectly fine with just doing it outside, but I guess we never really sort of had the yes or no for doing it. It was just sort of, we let them know our intentions for just being outside at that point, and sort of left it at that. So that meant that the Dickies security folks weren't quite aware that we were going to be there, and they were super chill. I mean, they weren't mean to us or anything, but eventually what it kind of came down to was that if our people weren't able to get in contact with their people and officially, communicate that we were good being where we were going to have to move. So we did end up milking our time for quite a while. We were only planning on being out there like 9 to 11. I think about 10:30 is when we ended up moving back to the parking lot. So no hate on the Dickies Arena security or Psyonix or anyone like that. Like it is just what it is. But we moved out to the parking lot, shot some film there, parking in a normal parking space. We put it back up on the trailer, and we're just sort of hanging out for a couple of minutes. Had some more people come up and talk to us as they were making their way into the venue as well. And as we were sitting there, Sunless Khan, who is someone that I had sort of been on and off messaging to see if he would stop by and see the car while we were out front, just so happened to park like 6 or 7 spots down from us on the same row and saw the Octane on the back of the trailer and came over, and we had a great conversation. Talked about some potential ideas, maybe for some content, maybe for something later down the road. So more on that to come later. But once we got done talking with Sunless, that was pretty much it for the first part of the day. We went into the venue ourselves to actually watch. Anyone who either saw the stream or was there in person saw that they had a Ford Bronco and a Mobil 1 NASCAR sitting down just next to the stage. They were the official partners or sponsors for the event. And the only thing I could think was that how great it would look if those two cars weren't there and an Octane, our Octane, was. So that's the goal eventually, and I think that's something that maybe Psyonix will be game for once we reach a point where it is ready to be displayed like those vehicles. But that was the only part that I thought the event could have used a little upgrade in. We did manage to make it on the stream, I think twice actually, across the entire event, just trying to rep everything. But after that first day was over, we actually went back out to the parking lot and moved the car from our parking spot kind of up to the front of the parking lot, so that as everyone was actually walking out of the arena that time, more people could see it, get pictures with it. I actually think we ended up having more people see it and hop in it and take pictures afterwards than before. So that was actually really good to have it there. We left it on the trailer, so all the pictures still have it sitting on the trailer, but really happy with that, with all the turnout, and glad so many people stopped by. The last thing we did for the day, I was monitoring Twitter just to see where any content creators might have any after parties or anything like that. But it turned out that John Salmon was having a little bit of a get-together, meet and greet with his followers at a park like a mile from the venue. So we went ahead and took the car over there, and actually made perfect timing. We were a little bit late getting there, and he was actually saying goodbye to everyone and about to hop into his Uber when we actually pulled up, and we were basically like, hey, John, like, there's a car here for you. And he's like, yeah, my Uber. And we're like, no, like, there's an Octane here for you. So we got him and Woofles, which if anyone follows like OG Rocket League content creators, John, Rob, and Neat Mike were, the big three with F2, the guys that I used to watch, in college. Huge inspiration to me. So it was great getting John and Rob actually in the car. Just a really funny moment with them. And that's pretty much a wrap for our whole day out there. It was a long one, but it was also a lot of fun. So thank y'all for being there for that. As far as the ride home, a couple days later, fast forward, BDS wins the whole tournament. G2 lost. We're all sad. Time to go home. As we're leaving Texas, we realized the truck has a flat tire. So we stopped at Buc-ee's to sort of assess the situation, realized there was a Discount Tire right next door. So we hit that up. Guys at Discount Tire were great. They were trying to figure out what the hell we were hauling. We're like, yeah, it's from a video game. Got the truck fixed and then hit the road again. Once again, pit stopped in Birmingham, Alabama on the way back before finally making our way back to North Carolina without any further issues. So here we are. I mean, just going to keep working on this thing, keep moving forward. There's going to be more LAN events in the future, hopefully other than the World Championship that we'll actually try and get the car to. Obviously, it's going to depend on, kind of time and location, but if there's something East Coast sometime in the next year before the next World Championships, then hopefully we can get the car back out there for another event. Otherwise, getting everything taken care of, I mentioned at the start of this video, putting the motor in it and getting, working on the body work is where we're going to be working. So stick with us. Next video, like I said, it's going to be about a month, so hang in there, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.